Thursday WarRoom, December 10th, 9:41 and 7 seconds. Houston is losing to New England by 21 points because they have 0. 4 minutes and 55 seconds left.
My. Gotta talk about
Good evening and welcome to the Thursday WarRoom. Thank you for joining us on our Monday night segment. We're going to go ahead and get started tonight. We have a lot to talk about. Let me go ahead and introduce everybody before we get started. To my left, as always, is Chip.
Howdy.
To my right is Greg.
Hello.
And I'm Larry B. We want to get started tonight. First thing we always do on our show, when we do have questions, we like to address them right away. We got a question coming in tonight from Ricky Cox in Gainesville, Florida. Ricky's question is, wanted to see what y'all thought about the Bucks not going with the gentleman's agreement when the opposing team just kneels the ball to run out the clock. I tell y'all I'm okay with it, but I hear a lot of people are complaining they shouldn't rush when the ball is going to be needed. Wondered what your opinion was.
Let me step, Greg, because I don't have much to say about this, because I'm sure you do. But, a couple things stand out to me. Schiano's a new coach. He's still looking for that buy-in. I mean, and that sometimes players kind of evolve to that. They kind of go to that because it's like, my coach said he don't mind slapping people around. We'll slap people around for him when the time comes. That kind of stands out. The other thing that stands out is what are you going to accomplish by doing that, other than putting a bad name out there to the rest of the teams in the league. They're kneeling. It's over with. You know what I'm saying? It's over with. They're kneeling down. It's that's understood. It's been understood for years. So it's kind of, for me, it's kind of both sides. Get you some buy-in from your team. Your team likes that fire in you that you don't mind. Stepping out there and maybe crossing or getting close to that line. But at the same time, it's it's a little tacky. It ain't got much class, and that's really all I got to say about it.
Here's the thing. This guy, he's trying to make a splash. He's coming into the league. He's got to get a buy-in from his players. He has a tough-nosed mentality in the way he goes about them. And, his claim to fame or what he preaches is that they play 60 minutes. Now, I get it when you're like, okay, well, maybe we can sort of knock the ball loose and maybe we can recover. But, from a gentleman's agreement, it's one thing if you look at another player and say, hey, are we cool? If they say no, then, you need to get ready. The first time they did against New York, you saw that they were going to rush the line and they were going to push people back. You can't tell me that you couldn't see that coming if you were on that team. And my understanding is that there is some type of conference between the two as to if it's going to happen or not. But if you don't see that happening, to me it's kind of like any other sport, similar to boxing. You got to protect yourself at all times. If you think that, because at the end of the day, they have the full right to do exactly what he did. So
we don't know if that took place or not. So it leaves you to wonder.
Then why not side
violated, or were you being
screw the gentleman's agreement? But you have to protect the team, so you get in that stance. If there's a gentleman agreement and it's been going on or whatever, that's great. But if someone doesn't abide by it, guess what? You got to go back to house rules.
Yeah, I agree. Here's what I'm going to say about this, Schiano, and I hope you listen. I hope somebody's listening that can get this message to them. This is the NFL, Schiano, not college no more. Grow up. You're playing in a man's league now. You're not playing with boys no more. Okay? This has been forever. This is a gentleman's rule. Is it written somewhere? No. But you know what? If it was your quarterback, if somebody did something stupid, like you put a Dominican Sue or somebody that could do something dumb and hurt your multi-million-dollar quarterback, you.
Dominican Sue?
No, I'm just using him because he has the ability to do those things. But you know what? Grow up playing the league. Second of all, the Bucks have made a good name for themselves. They've had a good organization. They played good football. They've gotten through the rough years. And you know what? Don't step into the organization and put a black eye on them. You got a good team this year. You got really good players. This is the NFL. I'll say it again. Grow up, Schiano. That's all I got to say about that.
Let me ask you this, though.
I'm in total disagreement about that whole statement you just
made. Let me ask you this, though. You look at what the Bucks. You look at Freeman's first year.
Yeah.
And when he sort of did the second, the one previous where the coach got fired, they basically have the same personnel plus Doug Martin, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
But don't you think Schiano has kind of...
Yes. I didn't say he's a bad coach. Schiano's a good coach. I love what he's doing with the Bucs.
But part of what comes with him are his... And I'm not defending it, because I'll tell you what, if I was an owner and I'm not...
You ever see him do it in in college? I'd love to be able to go back to Kate and see where he's done that before.
Well, I'd like to know where we're at on this agreement here. Who made the agreement? Because that's what we don't know.
Right, but he knows
the players knew, or they should have known.
It's not a rule.
It's a gentleman's rule. But here's the thing.
But it's a gentleman's rule, but if you're not going to do it...
What would Schiano do if this happened when his team was on offense and that center fell back? Stupid freak accident. They happen all the time and broke Freeman's ankle.
Wouldn't happen because they do it in practice.
Okay.
And Freeman's ready for it.
I understand, but you know what? The other team's not ready for it. They're under the impression that, you know what? This is how it's going to go. There's a second or two left.
When they take
just remember this.
When they take their stance.
He's a first-year coach.
So
he's trying to make his impression. The give and take about, you know what, I got your back, you got mine. We are a team. I'm your coach. I'm your leader. I'm going to get on your ass, but this is us, and I'm willing to take you here if you're willing to go with me.
I agree with all that.
I think that's kind of what comes along with doing stuff like that.
Black eye on you?
Well, I don't think he's.
There's a lot of ways you can go about that. A lot of ways.
I don't think he's considered. A coach, a dirty coach, or can't think of the name right now, but I think he's just trying to get buy-in right now. And
I think he made a mistake. He knows that he's not going to do it again.
He may not.
He did it again. Now, will he do it next year? I don't think so.
Well,
because here's the other thing, and this is probably the last thing we'll say about it. He's, as much as he's a good coach, apparently from their record and what they've been doing and the continual improvements, he's not in that NFL coach fraternity. He's not sitting down having bourbons with Shanahan. Everybody wants
to win what he wants.
Everybody else doesn't.
He wants.
Belichick doesn't want to win.
Sit in there
and Andy Reid doesn't want to win.
Liquor lounge and smoke stogies.
What I'm saying is, there's
back to what I'm saying. If it was his quarterback, I swear to God, he's not walking in the media room going, "No, I'm okay with that. That was okay. My quarterback got knocked down with a second left. We're up by 3 touchdowns, and they knocked him on his back. It
wasn't 3 touchdowns when he did it, though.
Doesn't matter. I'm making a point.
It does matter.
No.
Because there's a chance to win.
There was no chance to win. The game was over. There was no chance to win. Now, the team they played could have done just the opposite. But they played the gentleman's rule. Because they were already running and moving the ball over.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Who do you blame if 2 teams line up, even if it's at the last play of the game, and one team is like, "Oh, they're really going to do it," and the other team is like, "We about to go through y'all"? Whose fault is it if someone gets put on their back? The team that said, they're really going to do it. Right. And that's my point. Protect yourself at all times.
Oh, I agree.
And now when you play him, you know what to do.
Yeah.
You have to play 60 minutes.
You get that
no gentleman's agreement, and you've seen it.
What you do is you whip him before you even get to that point. So
yeah, and that's what coaches are going to think. So he actually could have put his team in a worse position by doing that. As much as he might have been making a statement to his players.
No, he did.
He could have.
He did. They're going to get cheap shots now.
All right, moving on, folks. Let's get moved on. Ricky, we hope we answered your question. Thanks for sending your question into the War Room. Moving on, our first topic of the night, we want to talk about the problems and situations with the current BCS and what we think they can do to fix it, or if they can fix it, or do they need to revamp the whole thing. But let's go ahead and see what we think about it, and we'll give you our opinion.
First, I think the NCAA is scared. And when we're looking at the BCS, let's talk about what it really is. It's a marriage between these historic bowls, TV contracts, and college football conferences. That's all it is. And how they shuffle money around is the only way the whole thing works. And everybody is deathly afraid of the 4 super conference teams actually taking hold of that and getting rid of the BCS. If you look at the BCS and the changes that they've made, they've all been marginal. Never before have they ever acquiesced to a +1 or any type of system that is playoff ridden. They don't want to be like the Division I AA or the FCS. What they want to do is they want to control. But the fact that it's kind of weak right now, and they know that the SEC is the dominant conference, no one would have predicted that. They would have said, okay, well, let's go ahead and have a +1. Nobody would have.
First off, who are these thugs?
Well, it's not
the thugs that moved in that took over.
They're the people that moved.
Who are they?
They're the people that moved the money. They're also the people that made the bad bowl picks so that they didn't get sued, because there's so much money tied up into the bowls that goes to the conferences. And if you're like a Northern Illinois who's going to play Florida State and make a bunch load of bank for their entire conference, if they don't get that opportunity based on the BCS rules, guess what?
Well,
and I think they should throw the whole thing out.
These thugs that have moved in and that have taken over, how the college playoffs,
the better question
how they turn out.
The better question is, how did they get 117 or 121
every year?
One Division 1A ADs to sign off on this.
The bowl picks that or the bowl matchups that they get, you see what happens.
But this is to
protect
protect
it a lot. They miss it a whole lot.
But you know what? From their standpoint, they don't, because I think this is strictly based upon lawsuits. They don't want to get sued anymore.
It's a monopoly, dude. They got a monopoly, and they need to move them out.
And that's why they're scared, and that's why they actually changed. They said, let's get a +1.
That's why
they're scared.
90, whatever. That's why they're changing again, because they can't fix problems. And with that many,
they don't want to fix the problems. The problems are why they exist.
I heard it said best. You know who does real well is the non-BCS conferences. Their committee does real well with them. Okay, here's the problem with it. It's all based on the whole BCS is determined by computers and everything. It's not by competition. You know what I mean? It's determined by everything else: voters, computers, and random dumb luck, which we see every single year. Okay. Now here's what I think. If they're going to sit down, remember, there's 2 human polls and there's a computer poll. 2 things got to go into BCS. Automatic bids and guaranteed bids. Gotta go. It crushes everybody else that might have a chance. There is favoritism, okay? And there is, the reputation, teams are done by reputation.
Which is why they shouldn't have preseason polls, which is why they shouldn't have any polls until BCS.
Just follow
certain teams have to lose, certain teams have to win.
BCS values reputation over performance. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Their mission, they don't even chase their own mission. Their original mission was to match the 2 best teams in the national championship game. They've gone away from that. They've gone way away from that.
How's that?
The system they have doesn't work. The system they have with the computer polls doesn't work. The playoff system makes it better. Why?
It's a +1. It's not even a playoff system.
I'm not done.
That's not going to stay there.
I know it's not going to work. I know this ain't going to work. They're trying something. But I think an 18 with a 2-team wild card or something like that works better. Why? Because here's what they can do by doing that. If you take, instead of this +1 garbage, I think it was a scared tactic. Let's try it. If we fail, it's not real bad.
Let's show that we can change.
But let's go with an 18 playoff.
Disaster.
Let's go with an 18 playoff, and then somebody goes. Wait a minute. We're 9-10. Look at Louisville. Look at last year, Boise State or Utah left out. Right, 9-10. So here's what they do: an 18 playoff. You put a 9-10 as a wild card team. They play 7-8. What does that do for the BCS? Covers their back door. Covers them on the backside of their whole statement. Now, the only thing that changes with that when you have the 18s is your 2 teams that go to the national championship game play 2 more times. That's it. Big deal. They're playing 1 time anyways. They can play 2 times. Okay? By doing that, they cover their ass.
You want to know what the problem with that is?
Too many games.
No. It's not that. No, look. There's 30.
But I agree with you.
No, there are 35. Listen. There are 35
punished here.
There are 35 bowl games. The problem with that system is that they're not going to be able to figure out the money. and they're not going to be able to figure out where the money goes or who gets what or who gets promised what bowl or how it is. And that's the sole reason, because it's not, unfortunately, it's not about
the biggest weakness in BCS
it's not about competition. It's the only sport on the face of country's earth, I believe, that is the champion is judged by, it's probably this team.
Yeah.
And they should probably play this person.
Do you know what
Every other sport is pure competition.
What do you never hear about? And I'm going to go to a comment I made a minute ago so you can relate to this. What do you never hear about? Non-BCS conference committee problems. Why? What does a non-BCS conference do? What do you have to do as a team there to even be considered for a bowl game?
When I hear
the top 16,
you got to.
So what is
I
the
hear
problem with
non-BCS?
Get rid of the automatic bids. Go to running a system that the non-BCS conference
Can't do that because that
puts them out even further.
No, because it goes against their number one rule. Because if that was the case, if you didn't have AQs, if you didn't have automatic qualifiers, where if you didn't have ACC champion definitely in regards of the record, they could be an 8-4 North Carolina, but they win and they're automatically in there. Then if you didn't have that, then that is a SEC nightmare for the rest of the country, and you're going to have right. And if you look at the BCS, and that's the only way they can pretend to kind of cultivate parity, and it's not even that. Because they just can't have it dominated. Everybody needs their piece of the pie.
Remember, we're talking about the committee, and here's what we're trying to say. Quit trying to make it so concrete and try to find a more fluid method.
That's why these things don't work. It don't work.
The rest of the country despises the SEC.
At the end of the day, there's little good to be said about the
all of this.
Yep.
That's what's coming. I mean,
you're not allowed two schools in. And tell me this isn't an SEC rule. You're not allowed two schools in the top 4 playing in the top 2 bowl games unless they're playing the same game.
I'm not even talking about that. You're right. I'm talking about the fact that people don't respect the fact of what teams have to do to go through the season to get through the SEC. And now you're going to add 2 to 3 more games, which I think it's fair. I'm for it. Like you said, this is the only sport that we have that is not decided on who play on competition alone.
I think it's deserved. And when we say SEC, Big 10, Big 12, everything. Remember, these kids go to play where they can play. Some of them don't get chances to come to the SEC. Some of them don't. And there's a lot of teams that want to play by home or kids. I mean, there's teams all over this country.
And that's why that's life.
That's life.
I understand, but you can't keep saying give it all to the SEC.
They don't give it all to the SEC.
I'm just trying to say. The point I'm making is to get away from the SEC and back into BCS. At the end of the day, you're not going to appease everybody. You can't do it. Remember,
someone's going to have sour grapes. It's just like the NCAA tournament for basketball. Someone has sour grapes, no matter how much they change it.
There's no best way to accommodate the top teams all the time. And make everybody happy. But what they're trying to do with this +1 system is to amend philosophies for. The guy said, I don't agree with this. He's just trying to fix a broken problem. He's got a problem. He's got a system that's broken. That's what I'm saying. He's got a system that's broken. And that's the BCS, the committee, the BCS. They got a broken system. They don't know how to fix it, and they're taking a chance. I'm glad they took this chance. I like the direction they're going, but I think they did it with scared thoughts. They went a little bit instead of a lot. They could have went a lot and really fixed this. Here's why.
I can tell you what happened. These thugs from the BCS moved in and got a hold of all these damn.
And I'll say this, going back, not to cut you off,
presidents and all that stuff, and they greased all of them's pocket because they're based out of Vegas, and they moved in.
To Chip's original question: who is the shadow of thugs?
Yeah,
who are they?
I don't know.
And you said that first, and you're right.
They are.
Don't everybody sit at that table and think that hurts my feelings that a lesser committee is doing a better job? A committee with a lot less money.
Bowl money, baby. CBS, baby. ESPN.
I understand that, but
that's all it counts.
Oh, let's talk about this year's bowls. They suck.
Hell yeah. Right. And you know why? And you know why?
I hope it ain't based on viewers' money.
No, it's not.
I ain't watching most of them. They all suck.
It's easier to have.
Northern Illinois and Florida State.
It's easier.
I don't watch that.
Look, it's easier to have a crappy bowl. It's easier to have a crappy bowl than it is to get sued by Northern Illinois because you didn't let them in.
Florida
and it's less pub.
It's like having a fat 5-year-old chewing cookies running against goddamn Bull, come on, that's a lousy game.
We ain't got nothing to do with fat 5-year-olds.
No, but what I'm trying to tell you is it's a lousy game, and I'm sick and tired of the BCS and their crap. You know
They're
what?
thugs, I'm telling you. They're a bunch of thugs that moved in and took over, just like the Mafia did. That's who they are. And until
So what
somebody
they told me
grows
this year
a set
was they didn't
and
care about the
and
fans.
the NCAA.
No, they
that's
don't.
going to happen. Somebody's going to take charge of the NCAA
They have
first.
Look, they give a
They
crap.
don't care about fans.
They-
Bottom line,
they-
that's
they-
what I should have said.
They give a crap about fans when it's convenient for the bottom line. And this year it was not.
That's enough on the BCS because you know what? We're trying to solve their problem. They don't even know what the hell to do. They're a lost committee, and it ain't going to change until the committee changes.
They know exactly what they're doing.
They got 2 computer polls, 1 human poll, or 2 human polls, one computer poll, and they're always.
This is the last thing that I'll say about the BCS. A long time ago, when they were still making changes, they cut out the margin of victory.
Mm-hmm.
How much you beat a team by? They cut that out. And then when they said that they were going to count the coaches poll, which many of them don't actually
They
even
don't
vote
count
on,
that.
which most of the assistants actually fill out, and that those coaches don't even watch the other teams anyway. Travesty, man.
Hey, BCS committee, let me tell you something. I don't make near the amount of money
Travesty,
you do,
man.
and it doesn't take a whole lot of thought. But go ahead and continue down this path you're going on with this +1. Just add more to it. You're going to pick up a bigger fan base, let alone have a better thing. So just go ahead and do that. That 8-team playoff with a 2-team wild card, you put a lot of teams. Like I said, look at the 2 teams that got screwed last year, Boise and Utah. They would have been in it. And who knows how far they could have went last year. But, you know, that's college football. And what's the one great thing about college football? Upsets. They happen all the time. All the time. Look at Florida State getting beat by NC State.
Here we go.
I just had to throw that in.
Here we go.
No, come on. All right. Off the BCS, because there's no figuring that out. It's a disaster. Moving on tonight. Moving on to our next segment. We're going to move right into the NFL. We're going to discuss. We're going to move into the NFL playoff picture. But what we're going to talk about is teams 5 through 8 struggling to get in, fighting for a playoff spot. And let's start with the AFC East. And well, we all know at the top of the AFC East is the Patriots at 9-3. They've already clinched the division. They're done. The only team, in my opinion, in the AFC East that even has an outside shot, and I don't think they do, at 6-7, is the Jets.
Problem with, I hate to talk about the Jets. I hate to give any credence to the team because they're basically, a walking nightmare, back page type operation. You got McElroy. He actually got them the victory late. You have the looming cloudy shadow of Tebow, which is still putting a black eye over the team.
Shadow, they're using McElroy now.
Right, because it's obvious to me that the New York Jets got Tebow for publicity. And here's the other thing. No matter what anyone thinks, they can't get rid of Sanchez. Sanchez is going to be here for the end of this year and the rest of the next. They owe him $8.25 million. That even if they trade him right now, they still put $8.25 million in his pocket, regardless of the salary that he takes somewhere else. So they're going to have to save that money, especially with the salary cap being somewhere between $56 and $58 million, per year. They can't sustain that and bring someone else on. They're not giving Timmy more money.
Well, here's the thing. At 6-7, they have 3 games left. Tennessee, San Diego, Buffalo. Puts them at 9-7 if they can win out.
9-7 is they're still not going to get in, though.
I don't think they can with 9-7. I don't know. It's the Jets. They're 6-7 now. I don't think they can earn a wild card spot.
No one sitting here thinks that the Jets are actually going to go out and win the next 3 in a row.
I'm done with the Jets, dude.
Yeah.
I'm just done with them. They didn't do anything with Tebow whatsoever as we beat that to death. They're locked in with this Sanchez thing. Well, what is your way out here? That's what I'm wondering. What are you going to do? Yeah. What moves are you going to make to improve this team? I'm not talking about 2-3 years from now. I'm talking about what are you going to do right now that's going to improve this team next year? Because it ain't no. You don't rebuild in the NFL
Yep.
You just keep plugging in the pieces and you keep on going. And they got a lot of missing pieces over here.
Yep.
And they're going to have to make some serious moves to put them back in contention like now.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're the New York Jets. You're under the spotlight. You're in the microscope. You know, you have to you just don't last long in a market like that, as you well know.
And I think everyone is sick and tired of the coach's mouth. You know, all Ryan does is talk. And I get it. That's what they do. And he deflects stuff from his players. But I'm done.
What I'm going to do for the sake of this segment is I'm just going to tell you the leaders in each division real quick, and then we're going to move on to 5 through 8. And them are the 4 teams we're going to talk about. Okay, because only 2 of them are going to get in. I already told you New England clinched in the East. Baltimore is still in first place at 9-4 in the North. But to me in the AFC, that's the most interesting division because you got Pittsburgh at 7-6 and Cincinnati at 7-6. The AFC South, Houston's 11-1, already clinched a playoff spot. Denver's clinched their division at 10-3. But here's 5 through 8 that we want to talk about in the AFC. Indy, sitting outside. Indy is 9-4 in second place in their division, sitting at 9-4. Indianapolis has Houston, KC, and Houston left. Okay, they still got to play Houston twice and KC once. Their 9 wins could hold up. You got Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and we already talked about the Jets. What do you think of Indy, Pittsburgh, and Cincinnati?
You know what? Cincinnati's playing a pretty good brand of football right now, and they're on a little bit of an upswing.
Even though they just lost a crappy game to the Cowboys.
Yeah, but you look at their last 4 games. I mean, they've been improving a little bit. You know, not a lot, but just a little bit, and you can see them gaining more confidence.
7-6. Can I tell you who they got left? Philly, Pitt, and Baltimore.
Right.
That's going to be a tough.
And
7-6.
Right.
Now take into consideration.
Time out. It sounds tough, but the Charlie Batch-led team beat Baltimore.
I agree.
You know, and Pittsburgh just fumbled it. You know, just had 8 turnovers. 2 weeks ago.
There's nothing more I'd rather see than Cincinnati just go ahead and walk through this and
I don't think
tides over there.
I don't think they will. I think with
I'm saying they will. I'm just saying that would be a little breath of fresh air to see something. A Marvin Lewis product finally get to the point that where he deserves to be. In all honesty, he does. He's a great coach, man. He's a motivator from hell. He does it, and it would be kind of nice to see that.
I think the Jets are out, and I think you're really looking at 5 through 7. I know we said 5 through 8.
Well, you got Indy at 9-4, Pitt at 7-6, Cincinnati 7-6. Which my next thing was I already threw Cincinnati at you. Let me throw Pittsburgh to Chip. Sitting at 7-6 right now, okay? They're in the same division as Cincinnati and Baltimore. They're 7-6. Roethlisberger did not look good this last weekend coming back. Okay, I'll give him it. He'll pick it up. But they have Dallas, Cincinnati, and Cleveland left.
Yeah, when Roethlisberger went down, that changed. Because I had him before that. I had him picked going to the championship game. They were headed there, in my opinion. Obviously, I've said it before because of number 1, Tomlin, number 2, Roethlisberger. But, things changed. Roethlisberger went down, and that changed. That shifted the whole balance for me as far as Pittsburgh even, I don't even know if they make the playoffs. I'm not even sold on a playoff team. I think I've stated that before. But, it's a little disappointed in that because I'm not a Pittsburgh fan, but I like the head coach, man. That's what I do. That's what I like. But, it's a little disappointing this time. And I'll tell you what, look out for Cincinnati. They got.
Are we all in agreement that Indy is going to get one of the 2 wild card spots?
I think Indy definitely gets it, and I think Pittsburgh gets it. I think they stay in the same order that they are. I think Cincinnati's outside looking in. Worst case scenario, Cincinnati and Pittsburgh flip flop. But in reality, I think Jets are obviously out, and the type of season that Andrew Luck has put together.
Well, one of them 2 teams, Pittsburgh and Cincinnati's out. They're in the same division. No advance. One of them 2 are out. Yeah. But here's the thing: look at Indy. That actually
they're 9-4. They're 9-4, and they're a stronger 9-4 than Baltimore's weak.
Here's the point I'm making. Yes, I agree. Here's the point I'm making. Indy's safe in the sense that Pittsburgh and Cincinnati are in the same division, okay? Because Indianapolis has Houston, Kansas City, and Houston. They got to play Houston twice in the next 3 games. So, if they lose all 3 games, okay, they end up at 9-7. But because of the division they're in with Houston, I think they're covered and in. You don't got to look at San Diego in second place in the West. They're 5-8. Jets are out. So your wild card's coming from the North and the South in the AFC.
Yep.
All right, moving on to the NFC then, real quick. I'm just going to give you the division leaders, and then we'll move on to 5 through 8. You got the Jets sitting atop the East at 8-5. Green Bay sitting atop the North at 9-4.
the Jets?
Or, excuse me, the Giants. I apologize. Excuse me. New York.
How do we get that far?
I'm reading and not thinking. That's why. Hey, let me tell you, if you ever join this show, don't screw up. See, Josh ain't said a word. He obviously knows better than everybody else.
This is not a screw up. This is a colossal screw up. Because what are you? What are you?
A little bit of.
Maybe I should have had it.
Remind me here.
Jets.
A little bit of the red ass. That's all right. Here we go. Back on track.
Powder for that one. All right.
Back on track.
In the North, we got Green Bay at 9-4. Atlanta's in the South at 11-2, and in the West, you got San Fran at 9-3. All right. The teams 5 through 8 right now fighting for a wild card in the NFC. We got Seattle sitting at 8-5, Chicago sitting at 8-5, Washington at 7-6, and Dallas at 7-6. Two of them teams can come out with a better thing. I'm going to throw Seattle real quick to Greg at 8-5. They have Buffalo, San Fran, and St. Louis left.
Look, I'll tell you right now, I don't trust any of these teams at all. I just simply don't. Now, the way Russell Wilson has been playing, I think he can win the next 2 out of the 3. I really think he can.
2 out of 3?
Yeah, and
who's he beat? Buffalo, San Fran, St. Louis?
Yeah, I think St. Louis is a tough battle. I think he gets through Buffalo. San Fran, that's the third that I don't think he converts on. Now, could he win? Absolutely, because the way that defense plays and the way that he's really been throwing the ball around and coming back with drives that win games. I mean, he's doing the same thing Andrew Luck is doing. He's putting late drives together late and being successful doing it. And when you can get that out of a young quarterback, plus he's mobile, I mean that's where it's really tough. When I look at Chicago, they have a lot of injuries. When I look at Washington, they have a lot of injuries too, and Chicago can't protect the quarterback. Cutler's taking more abuse from than almost any other quarterback. You look at Washington right now, RG3 is out. He has an LCL, which is basically a knee sprain. It's not an ACL, it's not an MCL. It's a lateral whatever. But whatever it is, it's not as bad. He should be able to come back within a week. Their backup is that Michigan State quarterback. Was it Collins? Whatever his name is.
For Washington?
Yeah, for Washington. Cousins.
Kirk Cousins. Michigan State.
Yeah. And he's actually been good, but you know what? It's almost like the whole running quarterback versus stationary quarterback thing. They're tailored around the pistol offense, and you can't run that with Collins, so you got to change up. And I understand that Shanahan may or may not be able to do that. But
do you think of the 4 teams, Seattle's one of the 4 getting into the playoff wild card?
You know what? I think it's Seattle, and and please don't strike me down, but I think Dallas might get in there, man.
Hold on, we're going to talk about
it. I hate Dallas.
Moving on to
I hate Dallas's odds on getting in, but
moving on to the 6th seed in the NFC right now. We got Chicago sitting at 8-5 right now. Chicago sitting behind Green Bay in the North. Chip, 8-5 Chicago. Still got Green Bay, Arizona, and Detroit left.
Yeah, good luck with that. I think Green Bay's in the driver's seat here. I mean, they got Chicago, Tennessee, and Minnesota left. Green Bay does. I don't think Chicago can get it done. I think Green Bay's playing good enough football, and with what they got left, it pretty much tells the story for me.
I agree with Chip. I think Chicago,
you can't trust them.
No.
Well, that's what I was going to say. If they come out and play Chicago football, I don't think they beat Green Bay. They definitely beat Arizona. That puts them at
Seattle went into the kitchen, cooked some spaghetti, left it on the stove, and walked out and kicked their dog.
Well, here's what it's going to come down to. Chicago loses to Green Bay, goes to 8-6, 9-6 when they beat Arizona. Do they get a 10th win with Detroit? That 10th win could be the difference.
It could be the difference. And no one trusts Detroit right now.
Nope, I don't.
Number 7 in the 7th seed right now is Washington.
That's their problem. Schwartz is
Washington,
at 7-6 right now, and their remaining schedule is Cleveland, Philly, and Dallas. Two division games. Cleveland always plays tough. They need some wins.
Look, I like their chances against Cleveland. Not necessarily to cover whatever the spread is, but just to actually win the game. Philly, I think they're a beaten team. I think right now people, while they may play hard, I think they're going more for individual effort because they have to prove to whoever's coming in next that they didn't quit. And then you look at Dallas. I think that's a schizophrenic game. Both teams are up and down. We don't know if RG3 is going to be back or not. What I like them to do is I think they beat Philly. I think they beat Cleveland. And I think Dallas game is a push. And I think, they can afford to lose one of those games depending on how the other teams do and be on top of the NFC East. Especially if they
Let's see what
Philly.
RG3 does when he comes back.
I know, and we don't know when he comes back.
I know Cousins look good, but,
Adrian Peterson tore his ACL and his MCL, and he was out 9 months. People that tore their ACL, I think Mark Brunell tore his ACL, and he was out 8 weeks. Just the LCL, my understanding is that that's a light knee sprain and is a week-to-week thing, not a day-to-day. So, in theory, he may or may not be cleared to play this week. But I would be surprised if he doesn't return for Philly, in which case I think he wins.
I agree. Moving on to
and
the
I think Cousins can beat Cleveland.
Yeah, I agree. Man, Cleveland's played tough. I hate to count Cleveland out of anything, man. They have shown everybody you better come to play in Cleveland.
But you know what? At the same time, you don't trust them.
Well, the 8th seed in the NFC right now is Dallas Cowboys sitting at 7-6. Here's my problem with the Cowboys. We just found out Bryant might be out for the year now. Des Bryant might be out for the year. He's going to see a hand specialist after last night's game. Miles Austin drops half of what's thrown to him right now. Witten's your go-to guy, but he's one person out of 11 on the field. I am impressed with Murray running lately. He's a beast.
He's back, but, he's...
And you can't count on Romo for nothing. You know that. But they also got locker room problems. How about
what's that dude from Kansas State, Felix Jones?
Yeah.
I mean, he's bad. He's
Felix
a bad...
Jones is from Arkansas.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
All
right. Where McFadden.
You're right.
Let me
wherever he's from, all I'm saying is that he's, but he can't stay healthy either. He's worse than Romo.
Let me finish on these Cowboys first and foremost. If you lose Bryant, like I said, Austin's dropping half of what he gets. The defense is playing lights out. I give the defense credit. They look really good. Here's the problem. You still got problems off the field with an owner/GM. Now he's fighting with players in the locker room. They had to pull him and Ratliff apart.
Yep.
He's telling Ratliff, I know you got an injury. Can you just get back on the field? And I think the players finally have had it. When a player jumps up and goes off on the owner, he's had it. He's done. They got these other problems to deal with. Dallas still has at 7-6 on the outside looking in. They're the 8th seed. They got Pitt, New Orleans, and Washington. I think they lose Washington. New Orleans could spoil them. I think they're out.
I think they're out too. And you talk about wanting to clean house. If I would you go in there and clean house in New York, I tell you what, if I was Jerry Jones, I think that's where I'm at, man. I just, his
who players or him?
Well, first of all, he needs to get out of the way, but he's not.
No,
I think Jason Garrett's a fine coach. Yep. I don't know if he was.
I think he's a fine offensive coordinator.
I think he's a fine offensive coordinator. Maybe that's what I should say. And I don't think he was. Obviously, he's not a head coach. And this Bob Ryan or whatever his name is, I don't know about that cat. He's a little bit all over the place.
He gets more FaceTime than anybody on that team.
Yeah,
but hey, he can throw defense together.
Now he's arguing with players on the other team.
Yeah. Go clean, Jerry. Go clean. You know what? Like we said before. You know what, Jerry? Go clean house.
But Jerry,
hire you a football man and get out of the way.
But you know what?
And let it be its thing.
At the same time, he listened to his quote football man when he promised T.O. that he wasn't going anywhere and that he was going to stay. and they listened to his football man, went against his word. They personally told T.O., I will not trade you. Traded him, and then watch him have a
Who was his football man?
Whoever was on, whether it was Garrett or whoever it was on Dallas.
The GM made the decision to get rid of the player?
Right. And what I'm saying is, he told T.O., hey, you're not going anywhere. Then talked to his football people and said, hey, what? You got to go.
And watched him have a great year. The next year in Philadelphia, he played in the Super Bowl with a broke ankle and still was catching the ball and running all over.
You know what? I agree.
What I'm saying is, my point is to his mentality that he's been burnt before, and I think that he thinks the best way to get it done is for him to run the show.
And that's too bad because that is not. And he's showing it right now.
Before we get
he's showing that he is not a GM of the NFL.
Before we get off this topic and move on, I'm going to say one more thing about a 7-6 team in the NFC, and I think you better watch out for them. I know they're sitting at number 9 right now, but it's Minnesota. Minnesota's 7-6, just beat Chicago. There's 3 games left. Don't count them out. There's only 2 8-5 teams. They're 7-6. Minnesota wins out. They're 10-6. A 10-6 team in the NFC could win a wild card.
Percy Harvin is out for the year.
Here's the best thing they got going for them. Washington, Dallas in the same division. Somebody's out. I don't think Chicago's going anywhere. They're out. That leaves Seattle and Washington. And Minnesota, 8-5, 2 teams at 7-6. Let's see who wins most games.
Which on a neutral field, you do not believe that the Minnesota Vikings can beat either team.
Right now, after last night's performance and what Peterson has done all year, Minnesota right now, if they had
no Percy Harvin, you can't trust Christian Ponder, even though he's a Florida State quarterback product.
That's even all the better.
Minnesota right now can beat Dallas and Chicago. Washington, I don't know the state of RG3. I don't think they can beat Seattle at all. They have a shot. They have to win out. It's one of them deals at 7-6. They got to win out.
Well, let's see who gets out.
All right, folks, moving on. We're going to go and move into a new segment we threw in last week. We call it a slam dunk segment. We want to offer a little basketball for our basketball fans out there. We got a couple quick topics for you. The first one we're going to throw out at you, and I want to start with Greg, our NBA guru. I'm going to ask a question. State of the Lakers right now.
You know what? It's pretty bleak. And bleak from the standpoint of what they're used to being and what they've become. When you look at the Los Angeles Lakers, they're used to right now being 17-3, and they're not. Their record is much worse. You got Dwight Howard who can't make free throws, and he's in the game at the tail end of the game, so that not only breaks up the flow of what D'Antoni tries to run, the head coach, it puts them in a situation. It puts them in a situation where they're being counterproductive. They're waiting for Steve Nash to come back, which to me right now is sort of a pipe dream because a 39-year-old point guard, and don't get me wrong, the boy can ball, but he's not going to solve the problems. They gave up over 30 points to the Trailblazers in the fourth quarter. They gave over 35 points to the Magic when Dwight should have been more motivated than ever before, especially all the trash that he went through and everybody throwing rocks at him, and he couldn't even muster up what you would see from if a Kobe got traded or if a LeBron got traded. When LeBron got traded, guess what? He tore Cleveland out and ripped them to shreds. And that's what most players try to do. That's what they all try to do. And Dwight didn't even care. I don't know if it's ill passion or whatever. They got Jameson coming off the bench. Yeah, sometimes he can do some work, but the problem the main problem that you have is not Dwight missing free throws or Kobe doing more work that he's ever done. It's the simple fact that D'Antoni is not a defensive coach. He's not teaching defense. He's not putting them in successful defensive schemes. So when they play teams that are more aggressive, your Oklahomas, your Memphis, your San Antonio, you get into big deal problems because you can't stop them. And now you got to outscore them, and you really don't have the offensive end set yet, especially without Steve Nash being there.
Well, Kobe says they're doing fine. We're in great shape. We're on track where we should be. Now, I don't know if he really believes that, But, how, Cubby is
He's
part
media
of
savvy.
Well, but he's just as big as part of the decision making as anybody there.
No, he's not.
Well, his input matters.
Correct.
And it holds a lot of weight. So, first of all, talk about getting rid of the Gasol. That's you don't want to do that. How this Dwight Howard character showed up out here and all this hype and all. You know what? That's proven right now that was just he was a superstar out there. That was a superstar in Orlando, but don't mean he's going to transcend to a superstar in L.A. and what's going on out there. Plus, D'Antoni, I know where he come from, but how did he wind up here? How did that even take place? And somebody, I can almost guarantee you somebody.
I think they tried to pressure. What's his face?
Phil Jackson's who they tried to pressure, but he was done. But
no, I'll tell you what that is. But go ahead.
No, I mean, it's somebody along the way had to put a bug in Kobe's ear that D'Antoni was on his way. Well, that did not take place somewhere.
Kobe knows. Yeah, they did, but Kobe knows D'Antoni from the Olympics.
Well, fine.
No, I was saying he knows him from the Olympics, so
but the Olympic team is not the LA Lakers.
No, but he understands his offensive genius.
And this Dwight Howard project, I'm just going to be curious to see how this turns out, and I think you're going to make a huge mistake if you're going to ship Gasol out of there and give more responsibility, more duties to Dwight Howard. I just don't think that's where what you want to do right now.
And to your point, there's Magic Johnson said this. He said, good coaches bring their system and they win games. Great coaches tailor their system to their personnel and win championships. And I think we're looking at a very good coach in D'Antoni. But the reality of it is if you don't play, this shit didn't work it didn't work in Phoenix, it didn't work in New York, and it's not going to work in LA. Even though you have defensive-minded players, it's not going to work unless you enforce it.
Yeah, the whole move didn't make a lot of sense to me.
If you have people scoring 30 points in the fourth quarter consistently, like Herm Edwards says, you're either teaching it or you're letting it happen. It's one of the two.
I did something.
It ain't either.
When we come up with this segment, State of the Lakers, we were going to talk about it. I tried to get a grasp on it, and finally just decided I'm going to do something I never do. I sat down and watched one of them ridiculous 10:30 West Coast games. Lakers were playing. I said, I'm going to watch the game. I'm going to watch the Lakers and see what I come away with. Here's what I come away with. I agree with what you said earlier, Greg. They missed way too many free throws. Howard misses way too many free throws. The worst thing I see them do is they should keep. They're a running gun team. They build a lead. They're trying to slow the game down, and every time they did that, they got crushed. They should continue to run and gun, continue to crash the boards on both sides, and that would help them a ton. They outscored their opponent a lot when they do that. But they
can't sustain it.
I know, but what happens is every time they try to slow down and kill the play clock, pass the ball around, get it down underneath to the big guy, the team they were playing seen it come, shut it down, they held the ball too long, got to the end of the play clock, had bad looks and forced a shot, and missed, turned the ball over. They don't rebound. They don't play defense very well. Okay? They're point guards who should be crashing the boards there. Point guards who should
They don't have a point guard.
I know what I'm trying to say, though. They should be attacking all the time, which would open up rebounds, which would open up scoring for everybody else. They don't. Here's what I say. They get too much pressure put on them by not attacking. The clock, bad shots. Don't worry about the Lakers. They're going to figure it out. Kobe's playing fine.
You think they're going to figure it out?
The biggest thing I seen the other night is turnovers. They don't play defense for crap. And they turn the ball over steady.
Out there to second
Kobe is average. I don't know what
best team in the West.
Look, Kobe's been in the league 17 years.
He'll figure it.
He's got 51,000 minutes on those legs. He's running more.
Oh, and that's the other point. They have no bench.
He's running
they have
more.
No bench.
No, they don't.
You don't have nobody.
That's why
come in and give him time.
That's why he's running the minutes that he is.
Why did you never go after somebody that his only role with the Lakers was to back up Kobe, and let's give Kobe some bench time and keep him fresh? You go out and get somebody.
Because they can't afford to pay him $100 million a year to sit on the bench behind Kobe.
Kobe's going to make. Kobe's making $28 million this year. He's going to make over. It's like going to make like 30.3 next year, and that's going to be the end of his 3-year deal. He's going to get another deal, and he's going to have to acquiesce to the CBA, where he's only going to make 14 or 15 million.
Kobe's done in 2 years. He's not going to sign another contract in 2 years.
I don't think so. Our last topic of the night.
No.
Yeah, I think I agree with that statement about Kobe. But our last topic of the night is what we were all talking about the other day. What's wrong with the University of Kentucky? What's wrong with the Wildcats basketball team? Calipari, what's going on?
How can you say something's wrong with it when Calipari has set the standard there, which was already set before he got there, but he has just enhanced the standard. And he's always top in recruiting in the country every year. So what happens is you bring these players in, and you win a championship, and then they jump to the NBA. Mm-hmm. That's going to continue to happen. Yeah. When you have, he told on his little ESPN thing the other night, or not the other night, a couple months back. They did a little thing about him and what he does in Kentucky. He said, "You don't come here to be a good basketball player. You come here to be a great basketball player." And that's what he recruits, and that's what he has.
So you're saying the one and done's finally caught up to him?
Well, it may have. I hate to put it one and done, but I mean, when you recruit the way he does, and you bring in, you win a championship. What it is every 3 years, Kentucky wins a championship. So in that down year or two that you don't. If you got to reload, and he does it very well.
If you follow what Calipari has done. The problem is not the recruiting. The problem is the character that he recruits. And when you looked at, when John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins were there, DeMarcus Cousins had a big problem with authority.
So he recruits bad characters? That's where you're at?
No, what I'm saying is that he recruits good players, but they're all of variable character. And he tries to keep the character high. Sometimes he believes if he gets five-star recruits and one of the players' character is not high, he thinks the sum of everyone else can bring that character up. And that may not be happening this year. You go back into who he has recruited time and time again, who are his captains, who are his leaders. The John Walls, the DeMarcus Cousins. And DeMarcus Cousins came around, and he's tearing up the league right now.
So, as Calipari at Kentucky, you're saying that you think the pressure's bad at Alabama or Florida to win football games, which it is, and I would put it right there. Not ahead of Kentucky. They're all right there together.
In college football standards,
college basketball,
he's got a 3-year pass.
Well,
you don't have to worry about. He's
106 and 17.
Yeah, at some point.
It's not bad.
Something's got to sacrifice, and it may be just like you said. I got five stars. Well, if one of them don't seem to cut it, I still got 4, and probably 4 behind. And that's probably true.
But here's the thing: all of his teams, at some point in the year, which is why I will not write him off. Which is why I understand that there are problems right now. But if anybody can correct them, it's him.
They pay him a healthy sum of money every year to bring in those players that, Coach? If they got a character problem, you fix it because I'm paying you that.
It's not that.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Well, then why would he bring him in then if he could?
If you let me answer, I'll tell you. What he does is he's sort of like Phil Jackson in the standpoint where he manages egos and he manages talent.
Good or bad?
No, good or bad.
He has a good job or not?
Right, but he has a lot of talent. And what I'm saying is, I don't care who you are, that takes a lot to manage. You get 5 guys that come from programs where they were not only the best in their high school, the best in the state.
They're going to the best in the country right now.
Doesn't matter.
It does.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't matter because when you get there, just like the New England Patriots, and that's how he plays it, he doesn't promise that you start. He promises you a chance to compete.
Right.
That's what he does. And that really goes to character. And what I'm saying is maybe everyone's not buying in because it ain't the talent. He's got the recruits. It ain't the talent.
They are starting over to a degree.
They start over every year.
Okay. So I mean,
but that's
that's why I say every third year, every 2 years, you might see a little drop.
Every year he flushes his whole.
But if he gets that right character mixed together that you're talking about, much less on top of the talent,
if he does,
it carries him a year or two.
Then they're all.
If he doesn't,
there is no year 2. They're all gone. They all go to the league. He
to
starts
answer
over.
Chip's question earlier when I asked this question, what's wrong with Kentucky? And he said, what do you mean what's wrong with Kentucky? Here's what I mean. They're unranked right now. They were started the season off ranked 3rd. They dropped to 8. They're out of the top 25 now. They have losses to Duke, Baylor, and Notre Dame. Here's what I saw the other night watching Kentucky. Okay, they don't shoot the ball well at all. They're not shooting well. They have no defense. They can't stop anybody. I don't think you count this young Kentucky team out. But to go back to what you were saying, Chip, we said, the youth caught up to them. Well, not in talent, but here's where I think youth caught up to them in Division I college basketball.
Experience.
Leadership. They have no leadership on that floor. Absolutely none. They don't shoot their free throws well. They're trying to go so fast. It doesn't look like any of them knew what they were doing. They're not getting in position to get good looks at all. Before they're even in position, they're already setting up for a throw. I said earlier, I think the one and done thing hurt them because of leadership. Here's where it may help them. They got some time to grow in December. They only have one team in December that's ranked in the top 25, and that's Louisville. So they got some time to grow. They got some time to get together. Don't count a Calipari or a Kentucky out. They have some problems. They got to work on them. Outside of fundamentals of basketball,
Final Four, Elite Eight, or
no, I don't know.
What are you saying, count them out? Because
don't count them out of beating some teams to get back.
Mark my words. They're going to make the show.
Got it right, by the way.
They're going to make the show, and they're going to wreak havoc. And
they do the one thing they're missing the most, and that's fine leadership.
They will at least be Elite 8.
They're not. They might get at least Sweet 16.
Well,
folks, going to put them out of that ahead of time. Go ahead, Doug.
Hey, I tell you, like I said, it's a leadership issue on that team, not a fundamental. Hey, folks.
According to Larry.
We're going to go ahead and end our show tonight. We want to thank you for joining our Monday night version of the Thursday War Room. We appreciate it. We hope you enjoyed it. Ricky, we appreciate your question we answered. We're going to go ahead and leave you for tonight. We hope you join us again. My name's Larry B. I got Chip.
Night, Termite.
Greg.
All right.
And we're the Thursday War Room. Thank you for joining us. Have a good night.